Okay, for those of you that asked about the wiring, they're just wired up like a regular house switch. You know, it's nothing special. I got two extension cords coming in from right there that run in to send power to the switches, and then the switches go out to the vacuum motors. When I pulled the panel off to show you how I wired everything up, I found that not only have the wires turned a different color like these brown wires, those are actually supposed to be white wires, but everything was so tight that the only way I would be able to show you everything is to unhook everything and redo it. So I'm going to do something that I think is a little better. I'm going to put a link in the description of this video to a website, and it has a wiring diagram of exactly how I did the wiring on this. And the section on there that says wiring two switches to two lights is the way that I did it. The vacuum motors, the older models used to come with a spot for a ground wire. From everything that I've found on these, it says that they don't need to be grounded, but I go ahead and ground them. And of course, each vacuum motor has a black wire, which is your hot, and your white, which is a neutral that comes out. So I wired those into the switch, and what I also did was try to get it, see that screw right there with an extra white wire, but I wired both of those back to the green ground wire just because I thought it was a good idea. It may not be necessary, but I went ahead and did it. On your vacuum motors, the black wire is hot and your white wire is neutral. So it's really up to you whether you want to use a ground or not. I just think it's a good idea. Okay, on to the pump. The pump that I use is a General T9051 Series 51 pump. And I bought the pump assembly, which is the pump and the unloader and the pressure regulator and all that as one piece. I bought it from, but I believe the specs on the pump are a max pressure of 1500 psi, which is fine for me. I'm never going to need to go even close to that. I added a pressure gauge, which does not come with the pump. Honestly, I think I got it off of eBay. And then, of course, the fittings here to make it work with my equipment. The motor is, guess what, another eBay special. It is made by Sierra, and there's the information on it. It's actually a 1 horsepower motor. I thought that I had got a little bit smaller motor, but I did go smaller than what the pump requires for, just because I didn't want to pull any more amperage than what I really needed. So I think this pump calls for something like a 1.5 or maybe even a little bigger motor. But with the power requirements that the vacuum motors have, I didn't want to overload the generator with a bigger than necessary pump. But I don't know exactly how long I've been using this setup, and I've been completely happy with this motor. The Sierra motors that I found on eBay, I don't even know if they're still on there, but they had really good reviews and it's been trouble free. The only thing that I did when I got the motor is I added the toggle switch and I hooked the pump up to it and I was good to go. One thing that I've always liked about the General pumps is they're pretty reliable, and I've had no issues with this pump. I've changed the oil a couple times, but one thing that I added was a couple quick connects, because up until now I didn't have the quick connects here. So every time that I had to get back in the trailer, which right there is where I used to keep my tile spinner, I always had this hose in the way. So I went ahead and put quick connects on it so I can move it and not have to be tripping over the hose or pulling this whole thing whenever I try to get in and out. And I also changed the quick connects on my wand and my pressure hose because it was time for them to be changed. I'm trying to think of any other questions that I had about the equipment. And as far as I know, that's it. Thinking about changing this gas shutoff valve in the generator. I saw mine had leaked a couple weeks ago, like one time, and it never did it again. So I went ahead and bought one. And if I see it leaking again, I'm going to replace it. And I got it from Lowe's, and while I was there, I'm going to try out these chemically resistant sprayers from Zep. Now, they run about $5 and something, so I hope they'll be a little bit better than some of the others that I use. But I haven't put anything in it yet. I'm going to probably use peroxide in it, since I've been using peroxide a good bit, and see if it'll hold up to the peroxide. We went to the supply house yesterday and got a few more chemicals. And another thing, I use these moving blankets, and I'm not sure if I said this in any other videos, but I use the moving blankets to put on hard floors, particularly wood floors or laminate floors, right up next to the carpet where I'm cleaning. That way, if I have to walk off the carpet with pre-spray or anything on my shoes, and I won't get anything on the floor, because I've never had a problem with it yet, but I've seen some other cleaners walking off on particularly real hardwood floors and leaving footprints, and even on tile I've seen it too. So I just use these as a precaution. Alright, so I'm going to finish up what I'm doing right here. And again, if y'all are looking to build your own truck mount or have any questions, let me know, and I'll do my best to answer them. Alright, thanks for watching.